2007, July 24th, 2007.
Yeah.
Zeidi, begin.
I was born Shlomo Adler in Dibova. To my father, Israel Adler, and my mother, Ita Adler.
Where's Dibova?
Dibova, that time was Czechoslovakia.
And today?
Today is it Ukraine. I started, was 6 years old, I went to Haider.
When were you born?
Yeah, I was born 3/24/1924.
Your brothers and sisters?
I had 4 brothers. What I'm saying? I don't know the name of it. Me, Mechel, Mechel Avram, Itzik, Burach, Yankel, 6 brothers. I had 5 brothers besides me, and I had 2 sisters.
And in age order, who are they?
8 kids.
8 kids.
From the oldest to youngest, who are they?
Mechel was the oldest, I was the second. After me was Avram, and then was Itzik, and Burach, no, it was Burach and Yankel.
Yankel was de broer van de jongen.
Your sisters. Who's
What?
in age order? All the kids. So where do your sisters fit in?
My sisters were. My sister was in between. The 2 sisters, one was born in 1926, one is 1927.
So Cyril and Leitchu are one after the other. After who?
Oh yeah,
After Avram?
after me.
After you. They're older than Avram.
Yeah.
Okay. So tell us about Dibova.
My father was a butcher, at a butcher store. They were 4 brothers. My father, besides, was 3 other brothers, were all partners. And my grandfather, Zeidi Ezra, was also a butcher. They took over his continuation, I was in Dibova till 9th, what do I say? I was in Dibova till 1940. Born 1924, I was 1940, that means I was 16 years old.
But let's just start with Dibova. What kind of, you know how big the town was?
Our town was a big town, was a Jewish community, maybe 2,000, maybe more than 2,000 mentioned in Jewish people in the we belonged to the Vizhnitzer dynasty. There were 2 alike Hasidim. One was I guess.
How many shuls were there?
Shul was 2 big shuls. The Vizhnitzer shul, my father and his brother built. They built the shul. It was a big shul. Could get in 1,000 people in it. Big, with a big Waber shul on the top. I was there after the war with Bobby. The shul is still on, but they converted it to a library.
And your grandparents, from both sides, they lived in Dibova, or
My grandparents my father's side,
what are their names?
Ezra, the Baba Alta.
Alta? What was
Yeah.
her maiden name?
Alta Uya. That's his Bobby. Bobby Itzik.
Okay.
It's
And
called-
what was her maiden name? Do you remember?
Shimshowich. She was a shimshon. She was a,
That's
she,
how you're related to Bobby.
There was a family. There were families. It's a Bobby. My mother's side, my grandparents were in Interapsha, Nizhny Apsha,
Where is that?
also in Carpathia.
And their names?
Huh?
What are their names?
The name was, the Zeidi was named Leib, and the Baba was named Bracha.
And they were Stearns.
They were Stearns.
And your grandmother's maiden name was?
My grandmother's great name, weiß ich nicht.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay. So talk
Maybe.
about the
But the side is the side of the Baba, my mother's side, it was Stearns.
right. Okay, so you started in Cheder. What age?
The age, 6 years old.
And where was the Cheder? It was in Muhammad's house?
Next to our house,
It was in a house, the Cheder?
in a house.
How many boys?
About 15, 20. I had the teacher van Starigheid, he was the Alef teacher from the whole town. Whoever went to him, he knows to daven, and he knows to Ivra, because he was a little Rebbe like this,
What was his name?
Mendel. I think so, Mendel. And he had were 20 boys sitting around the table. He had a big stick sitting there, and if you are a bad boy, he reached you on the through the table, over your shoulders, over your head. And I was by him, I think, 4 or 5 years. Then I went to another rabbi,
Also in the same town you stayed?
same town.
And what did
It
you
was
learn?
called Mordcha Nachmaleibs.
And what did you learn there?
There I was started with Chumash. I was by him also for a couple of years. And then I went to another rabbi. And also in the town. And there we started already slowly Gemara.
And these were all in houses?
All in houses, all private houses. I was 14, 15 years old. I was ready by a Rebbe Alter Nachmis. He was also Adler, I think. If I haven't passed, I don't remember. And I think so.
And did you have
Yeah.
secular education?
Hmm?
You had secular education also?
Yes, sure. Since we were 6 years old, we was starting to go to chess school, 8 o'clock in the morning, till 12 o'clock till 12. Every single day you went from 8 o'clock in the morning till 12. You went to the chess school.
And so when was the Cheder?
The Cheder started 5 o'clock in the morning. But later, not young, when I started school. But school started by 8, I think. Razi? Czech school, they started 6 years or 8 grade? 8 years
What?
in the Czech school.
We can 8 grades.
No. What age? 8?
8, 6. Zo we do.
By 6 started?
6 is that school.
It's from 5 o'clock in the morning till 7:30 you were in Cheder. And 7:30 you went, 8 o'clock you had to be in school in the Czech school till 12 o'clock.
And what'd you do from 12?
After 12, we came home. We went back to Haider till at night. Later years, you were Haider till 8, 9 o'clock at night. They won't let you. Later years, 1938, I was 14 years old, right? 24 born, 1924 I was born, 1938 I was 14. They took away my father to the army,
The Czech army?
Czech army, because the Germans invaded Czechoslovakia, and he was a soldier, Czech soldier, normally. And they called him in to the army. Mechel, my older brother, was not home. He grew up by the Zeidi in Upshur, by my mother's parents. They took him away when he was born a baby, and he was there till he was 15 years old.
You saw him sometime, I assume?
Well, yeah, sure. I used to go to the Zeidi. He used to call the mother never mommy. He used to call her the Mima Eater. Tante. Tante Eater. He used to call her. And he came home already.
And that was a normal thing to do, the oldest child to go to the grandparents?
Those years, they, it was, the grandparents took away the first child and
Was born.
firstborn child took it away, and that's why he was there. He went there in Haider, they sent him away to a yeshiva, to Romania. He was in a yeshiva there by Rabbi Mendelov in Vishnitz, the Vishwa Rebbe, Papa's father's Rebbe. He was very popular. They had a big yeshiva with a koilel. He went to America, and the father told him not to go.
Or the Rebbe?
The Rebbe, remember, he didn't go to America to stay. He came to America to collect money because he built he had a tremendous yeshiva. And the rabbi told him, he was the oldest son. He was called by the Rebbe, by the father. His father was Reb Srulcha. Srulcha was his father. And he was called the Sefer von Reisi. So hat man gerief Mendelin. The Svurim Shrank. You know what it's called?
No?
You know what Svurim Shrank means? Where you have your Svurim.
The bookcase.
The bookcase.
They called him the bookcase.
He called it because he was big Talmid Chochem. He was the oldest son, and the father told him not to go to America. He didn't listen. He went to America. He probably made a lot of money, and that's why his father didn't. When he passed away, he left the rabbi, the Male Mokim, to his second son, Reb Chamayel. This is where we used to go in Bnei Brak, to him, because he didn't listen to him. But the Zeidi, Man Zeidi, the Zeidi Ezra, he used to, it come, first day Slichas, used to leave the house and went away to the Rebbe and stayed by the Rebbe till after Yom Kippur. He was a short guy like this. He was an invalid from the World War first one was pleziert in de foot, was an invalid.
What in the foot?
You know an invalid?
Yeah, I know an invalid, but what happened to him?
He was shot in the leg.
They cut it off,
No,
but just
he
maybe
just
couldn't-
hang it. But they used to say, he used to go to the Rebbe, and Yenteuven was a short guy. He used to go in Yenteuven in Shabbos, used to go to first in shul and hide by the stender, you know, under the stender.
Yeah.
He used to hide. Why he used to hide there? Because when the Rebbe came in, and the Rebbe went over to the Ummah to daven, he jumped out, and he used to mix every page for the stay by the Rebbe, and turn it every
every
page. They still people who knew him knows the stories that they went with him. You know, everybody who knows me down Zeidi Ezra, they tell me the story. I didn't see that. They tell me that story. What he was doing. He was an old man. As far as when I knew him already, he was an old man, a retired man already. And they were he had another two brothers. One was Burach, and one was Moshe. But they all were butchers, all family, the sons and their children was a mishpacha family. Mishpacha family. They all were the butchers. But then they split a little bit, one opened up himself, but the four brothers, my father's brothers, my father had another three brothers. Peter Herschel, that's his, Cyril, she is in California, her father. And there was one Leibel Pesach, who was also the son in California, was also a son and daughter. The daughter passed away, the son was still there. And one was Burach, the youngest, that he didn't have no children. He lived with the Zeidi in the same house and one bedroom. The kitchen was all together. And he had also two sisters. My father had also two sisters. The two sisters, one sister was Shlomo de Reuten's mother, also Aita. That was his mother, was my father's sister. And there was another one, Malka. She also was married to a first cousin, my grandfather's brother's daughter. That was the two sisters. My mother had two brothers and one sister. And one sister married in where we lived, and very nice, but she passed away by giving birth to a child. She is in Dibova and the Basalam. I went twice from here, from America already. I wanted to go to.
That's before the war.
She passed away before the war, right?
And what was her name?
Hanalaya. She was Hanalaya. She had another sister, Charivka, that she never married.
Chaya Rivka?
Chaya Rivka. She never married. She went with the Zeidi with the Baba to Auschwitz. She had three brothers, my mother. One was Moshe, One was Yankel, Leitch's husband. Was my mother's brother. And one was Srul, also my mother's brother. He was a very nice young man.
So your father had a sister Ita, and your mother had a brother Yisro.
That's right. That's right. And the Vetter Moshe has a daughter. She lives here on Avenue F. We were at the she just married off a daughter. We went to the wedding. He was living in Pennsylvania in Harrisburg. He was there. He had a shamus with a meshgiach. Passed away. He lives there, and his wife was living here with his daughter. She passed away last year. They took her also to Harrisburg to bury her. I grew up in the, I have the Vetter Burg, what I'm telling you, he had no children. He was crazy for me. He liked me so much, it came, winter time he bought me skates. He bought me a schlittele, right? You know what a schlittele is?
A sled or a sled.
Like to go down. Once he put me on the sled, Zeidi, he lived with the Zeidi together. My Zeidi lived like here in the corner. Here was the butcher store, next to the house. And across the street was a hill down. But there was a noche, a guy lived there. And he put me in, he bought me the sled, he made me that sled, and put me on the sled, and he said, Shlomo voer, Shlomo go. And I went in a tree, and I was weggegalischt. You know what I galischt?
You got weak.
Faint.
You faint?
I faint, I got dead. This I remember because
How old were you?
6, 7. 6, 7 years old maybe. And since then, I never let. Then I was, by us in the house, I was the oldest. Because Mechel was,
You were the oldest.
I was not the oldest, Mechel was the oldest.
Right, but in the house you were the oldest.
In the house, I was the oldest. I was a wise guy. And I was running Quran and doing whatever. When I was a bad guy, he wanted to hit me, I used to run away to the Baba.
Wait, your father's mother?
That's my father's. My mother's
Your mother's.
Baba lived in Apsha.
Right.
That was away. My father's parents lived like from here, like the 18th Avenue. Away. That's it. And when I was a bad boy, I ran away to the Baba. And as my father used to come after me, I was laying like this on a couch. Here was a window. And I see him coming in. He was so rude to me. I was open up the window,
I assume that was on the first floor.
first floor. It was on the first floor because from the window was also outside a bench. We just dumped over, he was on the bench. Still on the way. What should I tell you?
You were. Was your
19
family well off? Were they average?
My father was a very rich guy. Rich. He lended money, goyim and for Yidden. Money was no problem. And he had well a lot of cattle, with a lot of sheep. He used to buy.
So he owned the livestock and then sent them to a shochet and then sold the meat? It was his meat from his animals that he was
No,
selling?
Meat,
there was two different-
Meat is a different story. Meat, they used to buy animals and calves or sheep and kill and go to slaughter. But he had privately. He also, besides those things, or he had cattle by goyim, in silver goyim, and also he used to give away. How should I explain it here? I think I kopavit. There was no problem with money. My uncle had needed business. They came to my father for the money, make business. I eat next town. They bought apple. They came to my father for the money. He was a partner. Third town was two Jews. They were buying cattle. They used to come to my father for the money. He was a partner. It was a very. I was a wise guy because I went into the closet, and in the closet was always full of money, and I was a partner of the money. We would go like this, fill up the pocket. Zeidi,
Yeah.
his father, when I was already big shots,
Bobby's father?
yeah,
Yeah.
he saw me, he loved me, he knew that I'm going to be a son of God. He loved me so much. Wherever he saw me, Shlomo, was machst du? Shlomo.
Wat liefste, maar.
Ich liebe dich gut nicht. As he saw me because I was a wise guy, with full of pockets of money. He used to ask me, wer hat mehr Geld? Die dann Tata? No one that.
Where'd you get the money from something or you?
No, who has more money? He used
When did you used to see her father? When he would travel on business? He would come to Dibba?
he came to the besides that. But I was in the years when I but started already the war, the mishmash came, the Russians and the Hungarians came in. He was Tage, and I was in Tage almost every single day. I was a little wise guy too, running around after the girls, and he used to see me. He used to catch me by the train. He used to catch me, and he used to go. Her father had a sister in Tage, Shimshon Leizers. You know Shimshon Leizer was with Natanya. Remember Shimshon Leizer?
Yeah.
His mother was Zeidi's, her mother, Zeidi's sister. I used to see him. I used to travel. I used to travel a lot. I was not sitting home, especially since 1938 when the war started and came. You had to go for papers. You have to go here, and I was a guy that knew, and I was going around.
So when did you started off? You were born Adler. When did you become Stern?
I'm going to tell you. When I became stern, after the war.
Okay, so we'll get to that later. So what happened in 1938?
In 1938,
You started to say before that your father got taken to the army.
my father was taken to the army, in the Czech army, because Germany invaded Czechoslovakia, the Sudetengebiet, is they called in all the soldiers from the Czech army to come, but it was not long. It took a couple of weeks and they went in and they sent everybody home. Father came home.
When was that? What time of the year? Remember?
That's right away. But after that, the Hungarians took it over. Czechoslovakia became, Zakarpattia became Hungary. As they took my father to the workers' camp.
The workers' army or workers' camp?
Workers' camp.
Where was that?
Working army.
Workers' camp.
Mi working army.
Workers' army.
Munkaszázat. It's a working army.
First they took him to Kaszok, Munkacs. Then they sent him, he was 42 years old, they sent him home.
So how long was he in the?
Not long. But later they took him away again. They took him away again. I was going to see him
When he? With the first time or the second time?
in the second time.
When did they take him away the second time?
In 1940, 41, they took him again to the workers' camp. He was in Romania at that time. Romania became also Hungary. Like Carpathia became Hungary, and they went in to Romania, to Transylvania, and they became also Hungary. They took him away to a place. My grandfather's, from the mother's side, he lived there. Maybe you remember we went to Haifa to see Suri and Fateburgs. I went with you. I went to look for him. I came there.
Kan nooit idee dit ook.
Met een gewone saasregen.
Oh, dus dat. En nooit idee. Je went to look for him and nooit idee.
And when I came to Saasregen to look for him, they transferred him.
You got to see him or not? No, he had already been transferred.
No, he was transferred. They told me where he went. Where they took him. I went there.
Where was that?
Uvidek. It's like Bobby says, Uvidek. Those years, you were not allowed to travel. I was put on such a, like, Hitlerjugend had the pants
The lederhosen?
in the like this. The Hitlerjugend used to wear it like that. And I was dressed like a Scheigels, and I was going. Now, Pius was finished gehad, I was already cut it off.
When did you cut him off?
And I cut him off when I was 13 years old, maybe 14 years old. A policeman came in. We had a tenant by us in the house. He had a barber shop. He had a barber shop. And I came in there. I still had pass. I didn't get pass like that. I had pass. And I came in to the barber shop. The policeman was there, and he says to me, Shlomo, Solomon, I was named Shlomi, says, what do you want? You should cut off your pants. Says one krona, 1 shekel. He takes out the shekel, gives me, and the barber goes over to me, cuts off my pants.
This was a Czech police officer before the war.
Hungarian.
Oh, Hungarian. So this was already after.
Yeah, it was Hungarian.
Pengi is a shekel.
Is got up, went home, came in the house. Nobody even paid attention. I have no pants. Then by little they saw that I have no pants. What happened? Says the policeman cut it off on me. That's it.
So back to looking for your father. You dressed like a shaggot.
I went back. They told me where he went. I was traveling and Friday, I think, on Shabbos, I came to the place. I went in a hotel. I should be able where to stay. And went out on the street. I said, took a car, and I said, I want to go to this, the place where they were stationed. They were, came in there, and he says to me, was Saturday morning. Came in there, and he says to me, what do you want? I says to him in Hungarian, says, I am the helper for Israel Adler. I'm a butcher, but I'm his worker. And I want to see him. And I took out a bunch of money and I gave it to him. He should let me do it. And he says, wait. And he says, come. He come, takes me steps. He was downstairs the steps, and I upstairs. I was dressed with a uniform, you know, like the youngsters, leather jacket, everything, like a real shaggot. I see my father. He lost so much. He was a man, strong guy. And I saw him on the top, and I was on the steps. He was on the steps downstairs. He looked at me like this. He didn't recognize me. He did, because I was dressed. And he looked at me, and I didn't say nothing to him till I didn't open up my mouth. When I opened up my mouth, he started crying, and he came Stevie, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? What are you doing? How you came here? How did you find me? How? I just tell you, I was there with him maybe a couple of days. I paid off a couple Hungarian guys that they took care of him. Then later, he was liberated. Came home because he was 40. They kept all these guys till the age of 42. After 42, they sent him home. He came home.
That was what year?
That was 1942.
That's when they sent him home the second time.
Yeah. That was in 1942. I sent him home. And then he was.
How were things in your town?
We had no problem in our town because the goyim, we were not afraid for the goyim. Like my father had a butcher store, but the Hungarians, they took away his butcher store. He was not allowed to have a butcher store, but he had a grocery permission. As we opened up a grocery store, Leitcher used to be in that grocery store. I was a big wise guy. I used to go and dance and bring merchandise for the store, and this way I always met Zeidi,
Bobby's father.
Bobby's father. Used to meet him, all kind of.
You have to wear a star at that time, and you have to wear a star at that time.
No. The star started wearing in 1944. 42, 43, was no stars.
No problems, except you had to just open the grocery.
There was no problem. I had a butcher store too. I went with another. I had a girlfriend there in Debo. They had a grocery store, and also had, like, my father had a butcher store and a grocery store, and they closed the butcher store, and they gave us the grocery. To them, they closed the butcher, the grocery, and they gave them
To be a butcher.
the butcher. And her father passed away. I became the butcher there, in that store. This way, we managed till 1944. You ask me how I became Stern? I became Stern. I never knew that I am Stern. Because since I was a child, my teacher, when I went to the public school, he used to pick me up on his bike. He used to call me Adler. Come with me. He used to put me on his back seat on the bike and take me to school. He loved it so much that I was his. He picked me up by the house and take me to school on his bike. And when after the war, I went out to take out my birth certificate. In the birth certificate is written Schlammer Stern. Why? Because my father was not married legally. He was married hypocritical. And those years, they didn't marry legally in court. He went to jail for a month. Laughing. They put him in jail because he was not married legally. Me and Mechel, we had 2 sons, the 2 children. The rest of the children are all Adler. Itzik an Adler, Avrom an Adler, Cyril, Leitcher, Yankel, Burg, all Adlers. Me and Mechel, we were 2 sons. Till the father is then when in the birth certificate, in my birth certificate, it's written Israel Adler. Schießdava sagen that Israel Adler recognizes Schlimmer Stern for his son.
Right.
That's why I'm a stud. Because he gave later stories.
So back in 1944.
1944 was started Surus.
What happened? What was the beginning?
The beginning was Pesach. It started. Erev Pesach it started. They started to. It was before they took. It was 1941 and 19. They took a lot of Jews from us. Also took them away to Poland and.
In 1941?
Yeah,
Who, from Dibova?
and the
Who took? The Hungarians?
Hungarians. They took my uncle, two uncles. The wives, the kids, and they disappeared and
Never
took
heard
them
of
to
it.
Poland.
You knew that they went to Poland?
What?
You knew that they went to Poland?
Sure we knew. Sure we knew. They never came back. Never came back. The anti-Semites, the Polak, they killed them on the street and all over.
From 1941 to 44, nothing happened?
1944. It was Pesach that they started to take Jews to the ghetto. But us in Dibova, they paid up the management by the police, and they made typhus in the town. Is they kept the town till Shavuos, from Pesach till Shavuos. They kept close. In that time, I was studying Chronic Quran through the woods to look where to hide. Because I had this guy who took us to hide. He called me and he says,
What's his name?
Petra
Last name?
Kushnir,
And his wife?
his wife, Celia.
Celia Kushner.
He called me and he said, you know what's going on? I said, I don't know nothing. They knew. They knew that they took transport ready to Auschwitz, to Poland, to Birkenau. We didn't know nothing. We were so without headed. We knew nothing. He called me, he says, if I want to go with him. Meanwhile, I was going around with Burakh, as I'm telling you, my father's brother, who had no children. He had to come with us and to go to the woods. But he went with me to the woods and he showed me hiding places. They had big properties in the woods.
Who had?
Burakh and my father.
They own the
also-
land?
What?
They own the land?
They owned the land, yeah. Yes, I went with him. But by the end, nothing came out. Because we had a shiksa. You know what the shiksa is?
Yeah.
She was like our customers. A customer in the grocery store. And she liked Leichenmith very much. When this started, she called Leichen, she should be prepared. In case something happened, she should come to her. I went with the guy. It's not the same guy. I went with another guy.
What was his
We
name?
went, Peter was, I'm telling you, Kushnir with the Celia.
Oh, so you're saying a different guy from the Shiksa?
Yeah, it's different guy with the shiksa. But that guy came with us to the partisans. Her husband, their shiksa's husband,
I'm talking about later.
right away when we went,
Well, when did you start with the partisans?
we started partisans Shavuos, right after Shavuos, a week before Shavuos, in 1944.
Who's we? Just you and Baruch, or
Was me, Mechel, and there was two brothers. They are in Canada. They died. Was a Schuchen miner, another boy, Baruch Wettberger, who's also passed away. There was one is still alive in Canada, Motel. One is not alive also. It was in Israel. We were 16 Jews, English, that we went away to the partisans to this guy.
so you went?
In 1944,
You left the rest of your family at home.
the thing is this, I went with this group, with this guy. My father and mother, with the Cyril Leitcher and Avrum in Itzik young, they had to go to that shiksa.
The shiksa who liked Cyril.
Yeah, but Cyril and Leitcher were.
Her name again is?
What?
The shiksa's name?
Anna.
Anna. So they went with Anna.
They went.
This is before Shavuos.
They were right away before, but we went to the partisans. They took
All of them. And this was while the town...
my father said to them, he took schmaltz, chicken fat. They took food and everything. They took this guy's father was a galach,
What's a galach?
a priest. He had a cloister not in the town, out of the town, in the woods. And they had like a small here, and they made place for them on the
attic?
roof, on the attic. First was it that my father's going to, with the mother, they're going to come with us, but my father decided not to go. Leitcher mit Zielen didn't want to listen to him. As they went away, Leitcher and Ziel and Avrum and Itzik,
To the priest.
they went away to the priest.
Do you remember his name?
What?
The priest's name?
Mother,
Mother?
yeah. I was going with Mechel and with the rest of the boys to Patrick Kushnier. We
So
left the same
they-
night.
So they hid... Petra... They hid 16 boys.
They 16 Jews. We were not, maybe 16, I don't remember.
And where were you hiding?
Think is this. We went out in the town. I left the house to the guy's house. He took us right away to the woods. Cyril mit Leitcher went away to the other part. And in the morning, they took all the Jews to the Beit HaKnesset.
Including your father and mother and the two boys. And Avram.
No, Avram was...
Avram went with Cyril and Leitcher.
Avram was with Cyril mit Leitcher.
Okay.
Cyril mit Leitcher with Itzik.
These were still Hungarians who brought you to the shul, or those Germans? Or?
Hungarians. They was all Hungarians. My father came running in the morning to the kids, and said, "Don't stay here, come with us. We're going to a workman's camp and it's going to be over, blah, 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 blah." And they had a Tizen Schmaltz. He took it away from him. And then,
From the kid, he took away
The
the
kids.
schmaltz from the kids,
yeah,
so that they would come.
yeah, took away. Leitcher told him, if you're going to force me to go, she says, when I'm going to pass the bridge, I'm gonna jump in from the bridge to the water. Go away, I'm not going. And that's what happened. Me and Meshel went in with the Goyim. We organized a partisan group, and they were with that by the Galach. This guy was a runaway from the army.
Which guy?
The mother, the Shiksas, I'm telling you, the Annas.
Father, the priest.
No,
Oh.
her husband.
So what was the priest's name?
Priest was also a mother.
Okay.
Mother. The mother's father was the priest. This was not a priest. He was supposed to go in the army. He didn't go in the army, and instead to go in the army, he came with us to the partisans. But the government knew that he is in the army. She got from the government every month money paid because he was in the army. Anna. She was something amazing. But then they were on it was a small room and was sitting. And there was a guy, I don't know how he find out. He find out that the kids are on that roof. He came, that guy was by us, sheep, a sheep, going with sheep,
A shepherd?
a shepherd,
For the livestock that your father owned.
yeah.
Yeah.
And he found out that the kids are there on the roof. He ripped off one piece of this and he saw the kids. And they let me know.
Who let you know?
The Goethe had their husband.
Right.
They were always in contact. And I came right away. And I took him away from there. Took away Ziele mit Leitchen, mit Hitzigen, mit der Brümmen. Took him away and brought him to us in bunker.
Oh, I'm actually gonna pause now to change the tape.